meeting room like this,
Uh-huh.
10 minutes doing mindfulness training.
Yes.
And then
what exactly is that, Rasmus? Mindfulness training.
okay, so again, sorry to say this, depends on who you ask. We have been working together with a group of authorities within mind training in the Buddhist world, and through the last 6 years we've developed a model for mindfulness training which we call the ABCD model.
Yes.
The ABCD model is the 4 steps that basically mindfulness consists of.
Yes.
A stands for anatomy, sit in a comfortable posture. B is the breathing. We need an anchor for our attention, not to wander in east and west and past and future.
So we need anger? Or?
Sorry, not anger, anchor.
Oh, okay.
Anchor.
Yes, okay.
Yes, definitely don't need anger. So B is to stay focused with the breathing.
Yes.
The C stands for the counting, so we count at each out breath.
Okay.
To help us remember to stay with the breathing.
Okay.
Then what happens to everybody is that we get all kinds of distractions. The last letter, the D. And then the instruction is, at least for the first 4 weeks, to let go of the distractions and return fully to the breathing.
Okay. So it sounds like meditation that you're teaching.
Yes, it is meditation. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And do you find that most people are willing to accept that approach, the employees, or do you ever get people who just feel resentful and don't accept that philosophical approach and get their backs up and refuse to participate?
We normally ask for everybody to be there in the introduction so that they know at least what it's about. And the whole introduction is basically about motivating people by making them see that life is not perfect and that something can be done about it. And that mindfulness has shown to give some things that everybody wants, like better health, better mental well-being and so on. So when we explain this from the scientific point of view, most reluctance is taken away. And when we then bring people into this very simple ABCD model, 95% of everybody in the group think it's completely okay and have no problem with it.
I see. Yeah. So there's a great acceptance of this meditative mindfulness approach, and 95% of people come along with it.
Yeah. In the beginning, many people are reluctant, but when they see what it is, they see the benefit of it.
I see. Yeah. So you say you have this, what was it, a three-hour meeting in the beginning to explain what it's all about, and then you have 10-minute daily sessions with the employees.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
And then after the 3-hour workshop, then every week we come back for 1 hour to give further teachings on the instructions on specific mindfulness training, the ABCD, but also on 2 other things. One is what we call the 8 conducive attitudes, or the 8 helpful attitudes for mindfulness. Attitudes like presence, patience, non-judging, acceptance, beginner's mind, and so forth, kindness, joy. And the other thing which is very, very important is taking this discipline of mindfulness training, taking this formal sitting of 10 minutes and transforming that into how you have meetings, how you write emails, how you're working when you sit at your desk, how you are eating your lunch, how you are walking as you walk somewhere, what you do while you're traveling, and so forth. So it's very much implementing the mindfulness approach, the mindfulness training in all the activities that people are doing in a work-life already.
Okay. And how does mindfulness help you write a better email, Rasmus?
I would say emails has been a fantastic invention to get communication up-speeded.
Yes.
And the result is that most people in a company receive between 50 and 100 emails every day.
Yes.
Which is amazing. The problem is that it's too much. Too many emails are sent, not very well written, which creates a lot of problem and a lot of stress.
Yes.
So mindful emailing is very much about being aware of other people's attention, that you shouldn't spam their attention basically. And when you send something to them, that it's very clear what you are writing. And at the same time, it is a benefit for yourself because the instructions, now I say very shortly, is that before you send the email, you take a breath. You basically refocus.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah. And have people reported that they are writing better emails after this approach?
Definitely, they report that there are less misunderstandings and less small unnecessary conflicts. And also people report that they suddenly don't have this huge backlog of emails, which most corporate people will know of.
I see.
Which is of course nice and positive.
Yeah. And what kind of companies are participating in the program, Rasmus?
All kinds of companies, but of course it is mainly companies with people who are sitting in an office, in one or the other kind of office, people who are under mental pressure. This is not so much for people cleaning or working in a factory, but really for people who have a lot of pressure on their mind with a lot of things they have to remember, a lot of things they have to know, a lot of things they have to do. So that means bank, insurance companies, energy companies, any kind of sales organization, anywhere where people are sitting in office.
Okay. Do you ever get applications from companies that you might consider to be unethical? Perhaps a bank that is selling products based on worthless derivatives, or perhaps a chemical company that may be irresponsible in its use of pesticides. What would you do if a company like that came to you?
It's a very good question, and it's a question that we have been discussing at length. First of all, I would say that does not exist such a thing as an ethical company in this world, because any company uses a bank. This bank has stocks somewhere, probably in weapons, in pesticides, all kinds of things. So any kind of company is dependent on all kinds of other factors, and that means they all have basically stocks in things that are not ethical. So it's very difficult to say which company is ethical, which company is not ethical. Then you could say a weapon manufacturer or someone producing pesticides. Are you training the weapons, or are you training the people producing the weapons? We are training the people producing the weapons. We are helping them to get better lives and hopefully to make wiser decisions, selling the weapons not to the wrong people but to the right people, or maybe stop selling weapons, making a different market. I think it's a very tricky question, because we want to benefit people. We don't want to benefit necessarily what they're doing. But it's difficult to not give people who really need these methods the methods, even though they're working in a company that we cannot accept their policies or their. We haven't had the situation yet, but it will come someday that we have a company that we will say, unfortunately, this is not the thing. But it will not be an easy decision.
Okay. And how many companies have participated in the program so far, Rasmus?
That is a good question. I would say around 40 companies.
Okay. And are they big companies or medium size, or the whole gamut?
It is the whole thing. I mean, everything from General Electric, I guess that's one of the 5 biggest companies in the world, Sony, Intel, and then down to small local banks or insurance companies, sales companies. So it's very different.
Okay. And when did you start this program, Rasmus? How long has it been in existence?
I started developing it 6 years ago, and very early got a lot of input and collaboration with scientists, with top executives, and with masters from mind training traditions. So for the last 6 years we've been developing it, and 1.5 years ago only we went into the market and said, now we are ready. We really want to have a very firm product before we launched it.
Okay. That's an amazing success rate. After 1.5 years you had these huge corporations participating in it. Do you see a bright future for the potential project?
I see a very bright future for mankind and for the tradition of developing our mind to be more wholesome and more present. Whether it's through a potential project or something else is not so important for me. But to answer your question, yes, I see a very nice, bright future. Yes, no doubt.
Okay, yeah. What is one of the more positive things that someone who has taken the program has said to you, Rasmus? Some individual who found it useful.
So let me take a very real example. An employee, a secretary from an insurance company, who after 3 weeks came to me and said that this thing she was not expecting too much of it. But within 3 weeks it had just changed her life. She was very stressed, she was very upset with her husband, she was very irritated at her kids, she was very much in conflict with colleagues at her work. And within just 3 weeks of training at the workplace and at home, she could see things changing radically. And we've had many of these kind of people who just see huge changes in very short time, which is very wonderful.
Yes, yeah. And what about employers and managers? What have they said about it, Rasmus?
We had the head of another insurance company who came to me after, I think that was after a month or so, and he said that all his life had been a fantastic multitasker. He had a very creative way of working, as he said, and he thought it was very effective, very productive for him and his company, and he now realized that he was on the complete wrong track and that he found a new way of doing things that was working much better for him and for the company.
Okay, how does multitasking and mindfulness go together or conflict?
They definitely don't go together. Multitasking is basically when we are mentally trying to do two things at the same time.
Yes.
Scientifically, we can see that is not possible. Okay. And we can also see that when we try to do that, we lose a lot of energy, we lose a lot of focus, we lose a lot of overview of what we're doing.
Yes.
And we're basically creating a lot of stress in our mind. So trying to do two things at the same time, like writing an email while talking on the phone, first of all, it's not really possible. Secondly, very ineffective, very non-quality time, and the product of what we're doing is not very good.
I see. So you think a person should do one thing at a time and do it well?
Absolutely, that is at least our experience, and what science is finding more and more, especially from Stanford. They're doing a lot of research in this. It's much more effective to work like that.
Okay. I suppose somebody who's speaking on his cell phone and driving at the same time and ends up in an accident is not really being very efficient in the long run. Right?
Exactly. Good. Very good example. Yeah.
Yeah. So how often do you meditate every day, Rasmus?
When I'm out giving trainings, of course, I do it a lot there, but anyway, I do it in the mornings and I do it in the evenings and a little bit before lunch.
I see. So 3 times a day, that's not a bad record. And how long is it that you meditate each time, Rasmus?
That all depends on how much pressure I'm under. If it's a very busy time, then in the mornings 1.5 hours, and in the evenings maybe 15 minutes, and in the afternoon 15 minutes as well. If it's in the holiday, I do a little bit less. I get a bit lazy.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's better than most Buddhist laymen do, I think. So that's. I suppose it's a testimony to the work that you're doing as well. If you find it so useful personally that you'll spend that much time on it, that says something about the program.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, it's my profession, so I need to be authentic in what I'm doing. So I will see it also as educating myself to be better in the work that I'm doing.
Okay, yeah. Well, I notice that the time is up now, Rasmus, but I really appreciate you coming out and speaking to us about this very interesting and unique and seemingly very successful potential project. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back next week with another program on body and spirit, a Buddhist approach to mental and physical health. Thank you, Rasmus.
Thank you, Tony.